You can't force the pieces to fit.
You could have saved them.
No?
Gave you all the tools.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Failed Award Contenders, Season 3, Episode 6. We're here to talk about Thomas Alfredson's The Snowman, adapted from a novel of the same name by Jo Nesbø, a Norwegian author? Swedish author? Swedish.
Hey, Sweden. He's Norwegian.
Norwegian, yes. Okay. Thomas Alfredson is Swedish. That's where I mixed it up. Our boy, Thomas Alfredson.
Yeah, returning
Who's-
director from Tinker
Yeah,
Tailor
who's
Soldier
just gone.
Spy.
That's my co-host, Macaringo.
Yes, it is. That's me.
I'm Diego Crespo. I said it already, but I'm going to say it again.
There you go.
Anyways, we're here to talk about The Snowman.
This is technically our last episode, but I think we're gonna shimmy a few movies in at the end.
Yeah. So, and some of the releases have been a little slower. I wanted to make sure this is on me. I want to explain myself now. I wanted to make sure we had all these banked before I started doing them weekly. But now I'm like, oh, we're basically gonna be able to have an episode like every week for almost the rest of the year at the pace we're going. Recording wise, we're doing very good.
Yeah,
it's me
we're actually-
uploading and
we're very ahead. This has been the Snowman has been kind of the most delayed episode.
yeah, which is very funny considering the production history of The Snowman.
Yes, but it's right at the end, so that kind of helps. So
Yeah.
we have some room to breathe a little bit. But
Yeah, The Snowman. It's about Inspector Harry Hull.
what movie did the Snowman beat in our poll?
Oh yeah, shoot. What
This
movie?
one beat Dr.
was it?
Dolittle.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
I think
I was
it-
actually kind of interested in covering that one.
Same, yeah. I think that was one of those ones where I don't think anyone has seen Dr. Dolittle, right? And then people have,
Yeah.
I think just as many people have seen the Snowman, but more people know of the Snowman, you know?
I don't think that was true until like the last couple of years. I think everyone who saw that original disastrous Dr. Dolittle from the 60s died.
Mm.
You know?
There's that.
That's not me. I'm not even trying to make a joke. I think it's like the passage of time.
A
Like
Richard,
it just ended.
a
It
Richard
ended their lives.
Fleischer joint, the director of Dr. Dolittle, who, for those who don't know, did the James Mason 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Fantastic Voyage, and Red Sonja. So,
What a
we'll talk-
pedigree.
yeah. And Mr. Majestic, the Charles Bronson film.
We
Tora-
have opportunities to talk about him again.
Tora. One of the most boringest
Oh
movies
yeah,
ever made.
everyone saw that in high school.
Did they show that to you in high school?
Yeah, PE teacher.
They
Showed
showed
it to
us.
us.
They showed us Pearl Harbor,
No,
which is
no,
bad.
we were not so lucky.
He also did an adaptation of The Prince and the Pauper. It looks like. Did you ever read The Prince and the Pauper?
Yeah,
The Mark
Nope.
Twain book. I just
I did
reread
not.
it. I totally forget that it because it's technically historic fiction, right? That and it stars Edward VI. Edward VI died at age 15 or whatever the fuck. So it's you go on the adventure with this kid and then it's finally oh, he gets back on the throne, blah blah blah, and then it's oh, by the way, he died 3 years later. The end. An incredibly grim note.
no, I never
and
read that. Spoiler alert.
An early what the fuck? It's from 1820 or some shit. You can't spoil The Prince and the Pauper at this point.
No, I know.
They
Can you
haven't
spoil The Snowman?
They haven't taken I'm still talking about The Prince of the Pauper for some reason. They haven't,
God damn it!
They haven't tried to redo The Prince and the Pauper in a while. It feels like
No, because they don't want to acknowledge poor people in movies anymore.
Maybe. I mean, there's Garfield, A Tale of Two
That's
Kitties.
only like half a conspiracy theory. I think that's probably true.
No,
But sorry, go ahead.
that's not the most shocking reason. Well, I'm saying there's Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties, which is The Prince and the Pauper, right? Like, there was apparently a Korean film that was a riff on it, from, and even that was 10 years ago. Emperor's New Groove originally started as an adaptation of Prince and the Pauper?
I didn't know that, but now I see how they got there.
Yeah,
From that.
and I think it was gonna be one of the Wilsons. Owen Wilson was gonna be the peasant, and David Spade was still gonna be Cusco. And I think that the story was like it was gonna be like they switch places, and then the llama shit still happens. Like that still happened in there somewhere. And it was
What the fuck?
yeah, and that's one of those ones where like it was also a much more serious film at one point, and part of the reason that changed,
I do know.
Yeah, and part of the reason that changed was the Road to El Dorado coming out, which also ended up being a comedy mainly, but there was a worry that they were both going to be these serious takes on kind of like Incan mythology, and they changed it at the last minute. And it's one of those weird ones where like I think they made the right choice, but because that's one of the funnier Disney films. So, goddamn, yeah, that's a disastrous. I'm just surprised Disney hasn't tried to do Prince and the Pauper. It feels like they've
maybe they're like scarred.
Maybe
scarred
yeah.
from trying something.
Well, they haven't. When was the last time they actually did a classic fairy tale? Right, like Tangled. Frozen.
Tangled is probably the most straightforward version
Yeah.
of that attempt. And then Frozen started that way.
Yeah,
a little
and
bit.
they changed it, but it's like everything else since then has been kind of more original material.
Yeah,
Like
and then
Moana's based
oddly, like
on mythology, but like that's basically an original story. So
yeah, I mean, unless there's something I missed, but
and,
Moana also feels the most classical
yeah, it
of
does.
the Disney stuff too,
It's funny
which is
where
why
like,
it's the fucking best.
there
But I'm
was
not here to hype up Moana.
there was remember they were working on a Jack and the Beanstalk story.
Oh yeah,
It was
yeah.
called Gigantic, and it was like in production for the longest time, and then like out of nowhere they just kind of canceled it. And yeah, it's just I'm trying to. It was Jack and the Beanstalk, except I think it was the difference was it was going to be like a Spanish set story. It was going to be set in Spain, and then the giant was going to be like a little girl or something like that. So Jack was going to climb it and like be befriended by a little girl giant who's like, she's still giant, and then they would have an adventure or something. And I guess it did. I guess they could make it work. So I wonder if they canceled pre or post Lasseter ouster, right?
Oh, probably pre, because he was the sequel guy.
Yeah. Well, no, but he's weird.
It seems like something he would do.
Was he the sequel guy though, or was that just like the weird like deal they cracked with Disney when they got bought?
I mean, maybe it's both.
Because like part of the deal was, it was like, well, we will buy Pixar, and all of you guys will become billionaires, especially Steve Jobs. I think Steve Jobs made more money from selling Pixar than from Apple. It's like one of the things where I think his wife is like the third largest shareholder of Disney right now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, something crazy like that. But part of the deal was like, if we buy you, you have to make sequels to everything. Like that's why there's that glut of like Monsters University and shit like that. Like it was like part of the deal was making sequels to everything. And I think that took up a lot of their time. 'Cause then like it's like after that they kind of immediately stop with like original shit. It's like, yeah, like Ratatouille, Wall-E, and Up were like the three they got through the door, but right before they get bought, like those were already in production, and That was at the point where Pixar was like, we will never work with Disney again. So it was like free real estate. Like they knew they could sell any idea to any studio ever. So that's why Ratatouille, Wall-E, and Up are kind of their three weirdest movies when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Disney buys them. And then the only original stuff they do is like Brave, which is like a famously disastrous production. Inside Out is like the good one in there. And then The Good Dinosaur, another disastrous production. But it's mostly sequels. And then Coco is in the middle somewhere. And Coco was good.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, it doesn't look like.
And you might be asking yourself, audience, what does any of this have to do with the Snowman?
Absolutely
and
nothing.
Matt actually has Matt has a really good answer for that, actually.
Oh, I do?
Yes.
And there you have it.
Yep, there you go.
That's all you're getting.
As Michael Fassbender's character, Harry Hull, or as it's called here, Harry Hole, asks Rebecca Ferguson's character in the film, or he tells Rebecca Ferguson's character in the film, you can't force the pieces to fit. And that is both him describing her character flaw and the resulting motion picture that we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, this is a bad movie.
It's a bad movie. But I could see what drew Alfredson to the material. I could see why Martin Scorsese was attached to the material for a couple years. He tried to get it developed, and he tried to direct it. He was in line to direct it. Which no one talks about anymore.
Yeah, I know that.
It's crazy. Yeah. No, I'm sure you and I, of course, we know that. I'm sure people on Twitter know that, but like human beings,
I'll say this:
don't know that.
Scorsese does make sense. I don't totally know what Alfredson is doing here.
I think he wanted to do something like more cold in the vein of like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, right? You keep like sort of like not like a full on procedural movie.
The cold,
but I think
the cold, sterile environments is literally the only thing of his that would attract him to this material. Like that is Let the Right One In and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And from what I understand, and I can't confirm this, but from what I've read, the book has a more like darkly comedic edge to it. That there's almost a like it's almost closer to like a Park Chan-wook film than a genuine crime thriller, right? And Alfredson,
like
I'm not saying Alfredson has zero humor in him, but he's not a dark comedy kind of person. At least I don't think he is. I'm not saying he's got zero sense of humor, but he plays it more straight. So for him to do a material about a guy who kills people and makes snowmen doesn't. It feels like Sam Raimi would almost be better for this material. Like, of just
that is a crazy pull, but I think you could do it.
Like simple.
And I never thought about that until you said that right now.
A simple plan, Sam Raimi, like he could pull it off.
Yeah.
Like there's an absurdity to this that Alfredson. I don't know if it was just how the movie shook out because like we will get into it, but this movie had a bad production. But like he plays it so straight that it's impossible to take it seriously, right? Like it's hard to tell if that's what they set out to make. Or if just because of how things fell apart, they just had to shape it into a movie that played it straight. But then there's so many things that like they all raise more questions with shit. Like his name is Harry Hole in the movie, but that's not how you pronounce it in the books. So how did that happen? And how did no one catch it? Like...
Yeah. It's been memed. It was memed to death when the movie was coming out, and it's I mean, hey, it's for good reason. It's like, yeah, my character's name is Harry Hole. Like it sounds like a joke a teenager would make in high school, you know.
And the movie never acknowledges that is strange. Like the movie never acknowledges that his name is Harry Hole. Like,
and there's like the tonal like dissonance between like emotion and characters, and even like like just entire sequences that I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about them that are left in the movie.
Yeah.
Notoriously, Alfredson came out and said like they only got like 85%, or like they missed like 10 to 15% of the script, like when they were filming. They had to go back for pickups. I call a little bit of bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it's even more than that. And then along with the pickups and the reshoots, like a year after production initially wrapped, I think they probably even missed some stuff there just because they, from everyone knows like this movie didn't have enough time. That is the key element of what went wrong. How it went wrong beyond that is what everyone feels like is trying to decipher still, who is interested in this movie, myself included. And there's just like fucking nothing. There's no physical concrete evidence explaining what exactly were the results of the time constraints.
Everything you say just raises more questions, right? Where it's like he says it's only 80%, but then there were also reshoots. So like what was missed, like that they couldn't even get with like reshoots. And then the other thing is that when you watch the movie, like it does feel like there are parts missing, right? It does feel that way. But at the same time, every scene feels like it is missing something. Like it doesn't feel like 80% as in like 20% of the story is missing. It feels like that 80% is spread across every single scene in the movie. Like it's like the scenes that are there don't feel finished.
And the last time we talked about Alfredson, it's like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is like just one of those perfectly calibrated movies.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a second of that movie that isn't just like, you're like, wow, you know, like, oh my God, what genius put this together. And with the Snowman, it feels like the exact opposite happened. And I think you can only get like kind of a disaster like this when you have an artist who's capable of producing something like that. Because when one piece of machinery is missing, when one other thing goes wrong, there's aftershocks, you know, like the building blocks start falling apart. So I don't even think it was like 80%. Like, this is just assumption. This is theorizing. I have no evidence of this. There's nothing on the internet. There's nothing from asking people like, have you heard this? Have you heard this? And it's like, everyone just knows. No time. That was the end result of that search, right? Watch like this fucking expose come out while I'm editing this episode. And gonna break down everything.
Well, the one thing that did come out is that there's apparently a series in production, which came out in between our little delay in recording, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, and Netflix will be producing a show based on the novels of Joe Nesbo, starring.
That should tell you everything you need to know about the Netflix algorithm. That they're like, you know what people want? They want them to get the Snowman right.
I'm willing to bet they don't touch the Snowman.
You're probably right, but that's a series though that has like a weird history over here, where like the books are all published out of order and shit. So I don't totally know how it works, but
well, I think part of the reason why they greenlit it, and maybe this is just me assuming, because you know sometimes these deals and developments take years or months even. The Snowman is on Netflix right now, and I did see it up in the top 10 at one point, I think. So
that's all bullshit.
If there are eyes on it and they're like, oh, let's do that, that would be hysterical. But yeah, so there's like only 80% of the script allegedly, 85% allegedly, I think less. And then what you have happen because of that is now you have to fill in the gaps with the reshoots. I bet they don't get enough of what they need in the reshoots. Reshoots that are also different from the initial drafts of the script and the shooting script. Because there are many sequences in the actual trailer of murders that occur and like an exploding house at the end that doesn't happen in the movie. So it's like now you're not just missing pieces, you're trying to make those broken pieces fit into an entirely new piece. That this movie just had like everything going against it. There's no way. It is a miracle. No, there's no miracle. I was trying to find like one thing that kind of like worked together in this movie. There
is something where you kind of want to be like, it's a miracle that the movie is at least watchable, but it kind of isn't. Like, it's not even like unwatchable. I
am fascinated by it, though.
No, it is, but it's one where like I'd like to read an expose on it. I don't want to watch this movie to like pick apart what the fuck happened, right? Like, it's
That's okay, I do.
It's kind of aggressively uninteresting as a movie, beyond the production issues. So
Yeah, like I have talked about like watching movies to kind of like autopsies, you know? Like I do find joy in that. This is like a prime example of something like that for me. It's not a so bad it's good. It's not like, man, that's so funny how nothing worked. It's like, yeah, this doesn't work. Like what let me grab my stethoscope or whatever morticians use. I don't know what they use. And like get to work on this bad boy. Um
and it feels
and
like this
just
is
like from the
one of
opening
those.
sequence, it's just disastrous.
I know it's so bad, like from the start, dude. Like it, yeah. And it's also one of these things where I'm trying to think of. I think the last time we talked about this was on Tough Guys Don't Dance, where
Oh yeah.
that's a movie with like a very complicated plot, and but part of movies with those types of plots is, some information is given to you like as misdirects, right? Like some stuff, it's like, oh,
Hmm.
it's obviously trying to make this guy look bad, but that means he's probably not the actual suspect. And when a bad movie tries to do that, you can't tell if it's a movie failing to be subtle or if the movie is trying to misdirect you, right? And it just makes you more confused. Like it doesn't feel natural, and like that's all over the Snowman, where you just watch
Yeah.
it and you just go, is it supposed to be this obvious, or is it like failing to misdirect, or what is happening? Like, is it supposed to be this? It's so confusing because it's one of these movies where like there's like it's like a complex mystery film and there's not really a mystery. Like there's just a lot of weird shit happening. Like it's we kind of get what's going on with the killer fairly quickly, even if we don't know who the killer is. It's oh, they kill women. It's
Yeah, they kill women because their mom had an affair with another guy, and then when they're chasing the guy she had an well, she's attacked by the guy at one point. Um, when during that chase, they crash onto a frozen lake, and the mom goes catatonic, and so I guess he feels abandoned by her because the car sinks into the ice and she dies. And that is
yes.
like, all right, that's strange. Um, and when you say like Sam Raimi maybe could have taken a crack at this, like especially Simple Plan Sam Raimi, like I see what you mean, like because you kind of have to operate with like extremes with this like
Mhm.
paperback, this prestige paperback type thing, right? Like everyone
Yeah.
loves Gone Girl. Gone Girl's like a fucking insane movie. Like
Mhm.
it's like this really high melodrama. That's like super trashy and like thorny and like I think so much fun still.
Mhm.
Um, it's one of the most rewatchable David Fincher movies to me, even though we've kind of become the anti David Fincher
Yeah, it's
podcast.
it's one of his better movies.
um,
Um,
um, but I really like that one, and this it totally deserves like a level of extremity when you have an inciting incident like that, and then leaving Snowman as like a call sign. Like there's a
yeah.
reveal of like, oh, you think Harry's looking at like this normal snowman made by the kids on the street, and it's like, oh, there's actually a creepy snowman face behind it though. And it's just like that's what we're dealing with here. That doesn't deserve austerity.
No.
That
And
deserves shooting on like the widest lenses possible
it
and doing
is
like the Raimi cam.
yeah, it is so obviously silly that before the movie was even out, Mr. Policeman, I gave you all the clues, was like a meme. It was that poster immediately made people laugh. And if
Yeah.
it's like if it took people that quickly to get it, right? How did no one making the movie put that together?
uh, I have no idea.
It's
Um,
I wonder if the story will honestly be like one. It might be like I think it's a perfect storm of shit going wrong because we haven't even gotten into like Val Kilmer basically being unfilmable in this movie because of his health problems, right? Which is like
mhm.
probably just another thing tacked on top of a million things that were going wrong with this movie. And I part of me wonders if there was a conflict between what the producers wanted out of the movie and what the director wanted. If it feels like the directors and producers maybe wanted different things, and then neither group understood it. Like, it feels like we're being pulled between two forces that both don't understand the movie. Like it's like I think there's a group that wants to make it trashier. That's more just like make a good thriller. And I think Alfredson wants to make it like this kind of big thriller about like, oh, this corruption goes all the way to the top, right? Like that, like this this is, you know, that it's, yes, this killer's a misogynist or whatever, but like this sort of misogyny exists everywhere in a culture, man, and go really deep with it. And it's like those
and
are
like I think you can do that with the trashy pulpy element still.
no,
You know what I mean?
Yes, you totally can. But I think neither are getting like that version of it. Neither are they're not able to marry those two ideas, and you just feel that push and pull throughout this whole movie. And again, the one pull you do not feel is any sense of humor about the material. You do not feel anyone who understood that fundamentally a killer that leaves snowmen is ridiculous. And it's someone should have picked up on that. And that's kind of crazy to me. And again, it makes sense Martin Scorsese's working on this, because Martin Scorsese has like a huge black comedy streak, right? And it would be interesting to see him do a more conventional thriller like this, which this would be more conventional for him, right? Like, what's the only other film I think close to it is like something like Shutter Island, you know? And that's a movie that has like the horrors of the Holocaust in it, right? Like there's, but there is a lot of dark comedy in that in Leo and his performance, if you know what I mean. Like there's a lot of kind of subtle dark humor mixed into that movie, even though it is a very grim film. And so it like
I kind of wish he'd done the Snowman instead.
Yeah,
now
that's
think, not true, but
well, what did he leave it to do? I mean, the Snowman is 2017.
Silence.
Yeah, so it was probably like Silence was finally got funding, so he was like, "Fuck it," and bail, which makes a lot of sense.
Because that's one of his masterpieces.
Or if the problem was they weren't giving Alfredson enough time to make the movie, that could have been the conflict, right? That Scorsese, I feel like, is the type of director who like wants a lot of time, so.
Yeah,
he would be.
I mean, people were like fucking ragging on the budget of Killers of the Flower Moon, and it's like, well, a lot of that is to make everyone comfortable on set because it's a big movie. It's a historical, epic tragedy, and also like maybe don't rush a story about that. Don't rush a production about that subject matter specifically, because it kind of feels like you kind of got to nail that. Otherwise it comes across as very insensitive, which it was still accused of, and you know that's not exactly my lane, but I think that's important to take time with any movie production, but especially stuff dealing with the genocide of Native Americans.
Yes. Regardless, anyone that complained about the budget of that movie should be thrown off a bridge. But that's
and land safely into the water of story below.
Yeah, the icy water below.
Nope.
Icy.
Okay,
icy
Mr.
cold.
Police over here.
Mr. Policeman, I gave you all the clues by admitting it on a
by
podcast.
the way, there's no there's that letter's not like in the movie, and he doesn't give Michael Fassbender any clues. There are no clues to follow. We're kind of just like tracking like disparate plot threads.
That means the fact that it doesn't appear in the movie. Do you know what that means?
No.
The only person who understood the material was the person in marketing, which has never happened in the history of Hollywood.
I know. This is the one time we're not going to complain about marketing fucking bullshit. It's like, yeah, they got it. They should have directed the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever made
That's not true. That's not true.
No, whoever made that poster should be allowed to direct the TV series. That's what should happen now. But I mean,
look, like, because I'm a big fan of like the Reacher show. It's just so fucking ridiculous, but it's also like, yeah, it is kind of cool, but it is ridiculous. I do love that pulpy shit, and if the Harry Hula Netflix series is just like a more like black coffee Dexter version of that, I will kind of eat it up, you know. I'm not saying that it will be. I literally know nothing other than it will exist in the future, but I could get on board with that. Is what I'm saying.
Reacher also understands how fundamentally ridiculous the premise of their show is, which is something that, again, to bring it back to a movie, was something that the Jack Reacher film starring Tom Cruise didn't understand. Like, that's a movie.
I like that first one though.
No, you don't.
No, that's a solid movie.
Whatever.
It's not as good as the first and second season of the show, but it's a solid movie. Sorry, I know we hate Tom Cruise now, but like it's true.
All right, that's one of the most forgettable movies I think I've ever seen. Like,
it's a solid movie.
The only thing I remember.
It's a justifiable problem to have. It's that everyone's fucking slurping down that McQuarrie and Cruise dick every day on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like they're the second coming and the third and the fourth. And they're just not. They're fine as filmmakers. They're often quite good, I'd argue. But it does get annoying. I think that's your real problem here. And I'm even on your side with that.
Yeah. Well, I am completely baffled by the response to Dead Reckoning Part 1. Like,
oh yeah, no, now we're 100% on the same page again.
Yeah, like it's one of those things. Well, here's the thing: I did not vibe with like Rogue Nation and Fallout as others, but watching those movies, I can be like, okay, I can see what other people are getting out of these. Right? It's those are movies where like they're not my cup of tea, but I get why people enjoy them. But Dead Reckoning Part 1, I was like, what is anyone enjoying about this? It's
beats me.
It's. That one, I truly don't understand that one. So, I really want to like them too. Like, I want to be.
I like all the other ones. That's all that matters.
I want it to be like Fast and Furious, where like I like those movies, you know. But, yeah, Christopher McQuarrie, he wrote The Mummy. Apparently, but that's like one of those movies where like 17 people probably wrote it.
Anyways,
but Jack Reacher the movie's terrible. All right, all right. Someone needs to answer this question for me about the Reacher show. Someone with the show has to answer for me. How do I phrase this in a kind and sensitive way?
He's big.
What gay man worked on the first 4 episodes of Reacher? Because there is so much homoeroticism in the first 4 episodes, and then there's a concentrated effort to make sure that never happens again. Someone was working on that show that knew what was happening.
That's amazing.
Am I wrong?
I don't know. Putting it out into the world.
Putting it out there, because there's so much in that. I mean, that, like, what is the first? It's the first episode is him in the prison, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like, and it's so much about him taking care of like a fucking twink-looking guy. Like, it's just there is so much there, and then I believe that actor's gay too. The guy he's protecting. So,
wow.
Someone knew what was up. Someone somewhere, and then someone caught wind, probably at Amazon, and was like, you got to have Jack Reacher sleep with more women. Like, that, you have to make sure. Because even, like, for, like, chunks of it, when he's, like, with the girl he's supposed to be having tension with, it's, like, the most chaste, like, tension ever. He has much more tension between the other male characters. And then at some point it just switches. But someone answer this question for me.
That is amazing.
It's just the truth.
There's no real homoerotic tension in the Snowman. Though.
No, that's because fucking Michael Fassbender is a sexless being. Michael Fassbender is one of those guys where I feel like straight people think he's hot, and it's not true. But
well, people did want him for Bond at one point.
Oh, we
like
dodged
fans, like
dodged
nerds, dodged
a
like
fucking bullet. Well, the fans ever
that'd be a weird vibe now.
Have fans ever correctly cast James Bond?
Like, no, because I remember some people were like Aaron Taylor Johnson, and I'm an Aaron Taylor Johnson defender. I don't really want that.
But they're saying he's going to be signed, right? Like that's what they're all saying.
No, that was disproved within like 20 hours.
Okay. That was his
Yeah.
agent trying to float something. There's some deal happening somewhere where they're like, oh,
Yeah.
we can't sign on to fucking Avengers 6 because he might be Bond. Like, you got to pay us more because we're like 5 minutes away from signing with
Yeah,
Bond.
they'll get him an extra $1 million in Avengers 6. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why that happened. That's not even a joke.
No, that's why that type of shit happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Should I say who's in the movie?
sure. We mentioned one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, Michael Fassbender as Harry Hole, Rebecca Ferguson as Katrine Bratt, a character in the books, from my understanding, that has a really big fan base, and we're not happy with her treatment in the film.
I should read these fucking books. They sound like they're up my alley.
I kind of want to, honestly, because like I fucking love this fucking trash.
Yeah,
I love it. Charlotte Gainsborough, Val Kilmer, and we're gonna get back to him. J.K. Simmons, Toby Jones for like a scene.
Yeah. Which was a bummer.
Chloe Sevigny, in dual roles. James Darcy. There's a lot of people. Yo Nesbo was gonna have like a cameo, but then his scene got cut. And then I was looking up like interview footage in the lead up to this movie, because after the movie came out, everyone just stopped fucking
of course
talking about it, obviously, because it's embarrassing. But I guess Yo Nesbo, his cameo, it's not said on the Wikipedia page, but he was saying like, he was so like glad that this movie was being made, and he hopes like, he wants to write a couple more. At this point, it was 2017, so he'd done like 11 books up to that point, I think. But he was like, I want to make sure my books will be able to withstand like the popularity that hopefully this movie achieves. Like, I would like for them to do their own thing and also be. And so his books are going to be fine. His books are fine.
Joe, that
They're
won't
very
be a
popular
problem.
Overseas.
That's not going to be a problem for you, Joe.
And I guess he's saying his scene that got cut, he's describing it, and he's like, oh yeah, it's like from the back of my head or something. And I'm like, oh, okay, you fucked this guy's book up. You could at the very least give him like a walk-on role as like a CSI guy or something.
They let fucking what's his name sing in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yeah.
John LeCarry, you can see him singing at the Christmas party. But couldn't give.
Come on, Tomas.
Yeah.
Thomas Alfredson.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah. Okay, so Rebecca Ferguson is one of, I think, our best like new age actresses. Like,
well, wait, we should talk about J.K. Simmons.
I've never been more convinced.
We should talk about J.K. Simmons first.
Okay,
we're done talking about J.K. Simmons.
That's very funny. I was like, what the fuck take do you have?
Obviously, it's all right. When have the words J.K. Simmons and forgettable ever gone together?
This movie.
Exactly. Although I just went to J.K. Simmons' Wikipedia, and it reminded me that he was in La La Land, and I had zero memory of that.
Oh shit, that's right.
I had zero memory he was in La La Land.
Oh, you know what? He is my favorite part of Terminator Genesis. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
Well, that's the thing with him, is that he is one of those guys where the movie could be trash, but he's usually the best part in it, right?
Yeah.
I mean... Yeah,
there's a part in Terminator Genesis, a bad movie that I don't recommend you watch. And it's not bad like this one. It's just like generic franchise slop bad. But like, he's the guy who keeps running into Terminators throughout the years. So there's a point like heading into the third act where he's like, goddamn time traveling robots. And it's like, why isn't the movie about that guy?
Whoever wrote Terminator Genesis should report to The Hague. Like, that movie is everything wrong with cinema of that era.
No, it is totally emblematic of like that the 2010s like sequel legacy sequel bullshit.
Yeah.
Apologies. They're Laeta Kalogridis and Patrick Lussier are the credited screenwriters.
Report to The Hague.
And considering they're the fucking Dracula. No, they're not. They're the director of Dracula 2000.
Oh, says they have a story
Patrick
credit
Lussier.
on it. One of them has a story credit on it.
But
anyway.
Considering the events of Terminator Genesis, I'm willing to bet that there's actually more writers who worked on that movie.
Yeah, I think the real writer of that movie was Skydance, and
Oh, yeah.
Annapurna.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gotta just shout out J.K. Simmons real quick. Just in the he wins an Oscar for Whiplash, and then didn't change a goddamn thing about what he did with his career. Like he is
Yeah.
still saying yes to any movie that is offered to him. he did not
Yeah,
he
that's
did
pretty
not
great.
he did not try to build a like more austere. Like he was not like, okay, this is my time. It's like, nope, I'm saying yes to everything. So, I mean, he still like pops up in goddamn commercials. So I kind of respect it. His name was Ivan Shandor in Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Really?
Yeah, because Jason
I don't know
Reitman
what that is.
puts him in all his movies. So he was Ivan.
Oh, I keep forgetting.
Yeah,
Fucking the kid did that movie.
yeah, the kid.
The kid, like, he didn't direct like one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
But
Oh my God, what a fucking guy who does. Thank you for smoking Juno up in the air, young adult, and is like, what if I never made a good movie ever again?
Tully's not good, but I could see
No,
signs of life in it. You know
I
what I mean?
saw Tully. That movie is insane. Like
Yeah, no. Yeah.
that is one of those
Yeah.
like that's one of those Diablo Cody scripts where like it doesn't work, but I'm like I love the swing, so
Yeah.
I'm all there for it. You know.
Yeah.
But
I like Diablo Cody. I think
that
people
was
turned on her, but I
what
like her.
can we spoil Tully, or do you want me to not spoil Tully?
Go ahead. It's in the
Alright.
Snowman episode, so I think this is the one I'm going to give you some leeway
All right,
and not yell at you about
I'm about to
fucking
spoil
Divergence.
Tully,
But I do have takes for the Snowman I want to get to.
we'll
So
get to him.
please.
But Tully, I was watching it, and I think I was like live tweeting while I was watching it, and I literally did like I think I was like halfway through, and I'm like, what if she's in her head the whole time? That'd be ridiculous. and then it turned out she was in her head. Tully wasn't real. What a crazy movie.
Yeah.
That's one where like it was one of those
Yeah.
like where the Diablo Cody Jason Reitman team ups had been so good up to that point. It was one of those where like they shouldn't have like someone else should have directed Tully. Jason Reitman was not equipped for that story.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, he's doing SNL in 1975
Yep.
because there's not enough about the mythology of SNL at this point.
Well, that movie is what got him off the sequel to his Ghostbusters movie. So
I mean, whatever works, but Finn
you don't care
Wolfhard.
about the sanctity of Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters: The Frozen Empire.
That's like the most fucking fan fiction ass title, but like a boring fan fiction title. You know?
Yeah, shouldn't the title be fun?
I know, right? Like
Like,
I don't know.
like get a joke.
Just call it Ghostbusters 5 or something.
Yeah. What a bunch
I
of
don't know.
bullshit.
Fuck Ghostbusters.
We one of these days we got to do right because we were gonna do him before we took Happy Amblin out back and shot it. We would have covered Jason Reitman in his Men, Women, and Children movie, which is one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah, that is one of the worst movies ever made.
It's that's where he does the two. Yeah, he does Labor Day and Men, Women, and Children back to back, which are two like terrible films. And
yeah, those were enough to kill like interest in his career. Basically.
Yeah, it was like immediate. Like young adult, I think is like his high point in my opinion.
I really like young adult. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I am still a Juno defender as well.
No, I like Juno too.
I recently it popped up on my Spotify or YouTube, that little song that Michael Cera and Elliot Page sing at each other, and I was like, oh man, what a sweet ending to that movie. And it just like that moment just popped into my head and it kind of carried me through an entire day. And I was like, God, what a lovely, lovely movie. And then I'm like, what happened to that guy?
Yeah.
Like everything he does now is so fucking cynical and like depressing. I don't know. We're not here to talk about Jason Reitman.
We could though.
No, we couldn't. We
You think-
cannot. I got to talk about why Rebecca Ferguson is quite bad in The Snowman, and it convinced me that she's an all-timer actress in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not her fault that she's bad.
Is
We kind
anyone
of talked about it with Babylon.
is
where, like,
anyone
yeah,
good in this,
everyone
though?
on screen is talented, but
Is anyone
sorry, what were you
good?
saying?
Is anyone good in The Snowman though?
no, everyone's performances are like butchered in the edit and shredded
Yeah.
to bits and ribbons.
Because like J.K. Simmons and Toby Jones are two people where it's like the movie could be dog shit, but they would at least show up to work. But they're so like barely in it that there's not enough to really judge it by, right?
Yeah. Even Chloe Savini, who's only in like a handful of moments. But yeah, Rebecca Ferguson, like, just something about her. She's really magnetic. Obviously, she's like really beautiful and stuff like that too. But she just got this great screen presence, and it's just it's like they're acting to people that aren't there. It feels like every person in this movie is responding and reacting to people that like are not sharing the screen with them. Like, you know that feeling you're watching like The Mandalorian when they're talking to like the AI Luke Skywalker or something, or basically like any Marvel movie now where people are like composited into scenes together. It feels like that. Like that is, I would argue those are the same quality as a Snowman sometimes. But these were all people on set together. So it's just like they didn't get enough coverage and stuff like that. But what makes it even more confusing, and I got to shift just to the filmmaking now. God bless Rebecca Ferguson. It's terrific in the new Dune, by the way. Obviously, we all know that. But like even the compositions and like the camera direction, like usually you can see like this movie was shot by Dion Bibi, incredible cinematographer. There are like individual moments from like, goddamn, like Val Kilmer walking off on the edge of that building. God, what an image, you know? And then other times where I'm like, what even is the purpose of getting footage from this angle?
Well, it's
or
so
that angle? This feels weird.
You mentioned that it feels like they didn't get coverage. What's weird is, to me, it feels like it's almost all coverage and nothing else.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like every once in a while, there's like a moment that's punctuated like kind of nicely to nothing, obviously. But I'm just like, it feels like something was supposed to come before or after this that made this better. And then other times it's like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be drawn to in terms of like a scene.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's a really weird feeling to have from Alfredson coming off of Let the Right One In and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which are just like immaculately directed. And I don't know why. Hoyte van Hoytema was busy with Christopher Nolan on Dunkirk when they did this, but Hoyt has actually said there's a passion project he wants to do with Alfredson still, like as recently as like last year or the year before.
I hope something happens with Alfredson where he gets another swing, because it's like you can't let this guy just not make stuff.
This movie shouldn't have killed his career. Unfortunately, he did do a movie in his home of Sweden after this, and it was also a huge bomb apparently, and they did not like it over there.
Yeah, well, it seems like it was a comedy, which also they don't translate. Comedies just don't translate very well, but
it's called We're the Johnsons or something like that. That's the English translation. I don't know. It's a reboot of some like other like heist thriller thing. But his version was a comedy interpretation of it, and people didn't like it. And now he's in line to do some like miniseries, I think. Some like 6-part like miniseries. Let me see.
Is it still like in Sweden though? Like, is he kind of just
No. This is here you go. He's adapting Ingmar Bergman's Faithless as a TV series. Which is,
I mean,
it's something.
At least he's working. I mean, maybe maybe this like sometimes you have this project that a director takes, unfortunately, that like kind of breaks him. You know, maybe Alfredson was like genuinely kind of broken by this movie, and it's a shame because it's like he had such promise, and now it's like, I mean, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is over a decade old at this point. You know,
I know.
So it's just what is it? Is it done? I mean, we're all lucky enough to have. We'd be lucky enough to have one movie like that under our belt. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
just
Um,
it's
but I
it's a
don't
real
know.
shame.
It's a big shame.
This,
There's some other stuff I want to talk about. I mean, I don't think you have that much more to say about this movie other than what a shame.
yeah, well, here's something. All right, let me just talk to you about how little of this movie like remained in my brain. Right?
Yeah, go ahead.
What is Val Kilmer's relation to anything going on?
So,
All right.
yeah. No, Val Kilmer is he was the detective looking into the Snowman murders originally. Oh, so this is I haven't read the original book. But I honestly am interested. I wasn't joking about that and reading these books now. I don't
Neither was
remember if
I.
it's in the
Like,
movie, but the Snowman killer in the book is supposed to be like this fictional world's first like this fictional Norway's first serial killer, and they're tracking it like through the decades,
oh, okay.
and so Harry Hule is like he needs something to get him, like he needs a case to bring him back to life, and it's like, well, here's a guy that takes lives. That's the get it. It's a metaphor. It's like very obvious, but like whatever, perfect for like a 2-hour plane ride to read. And I guess that detective character was supposed to be the first guy investigating it, who ends up getting killed, and everyone thinks it's suicide until Harry Hule and the Rebecca Ferguson character uncovered that it was not a suicide. Oh yeah, I mentioned that the character Katrine Bratt was I guess like a fan favorite, because I looked at like the Reddit and like the YouTube video clips of the movie, and people were like, actually, she lives in the book. I turned away from the movie after they killed her off or something like that, and it's like, yeah, that's unfortunate. It is one of those decisions that makes me think, okay, who was that for? You know, because it also doesn't like change anything in the movie. Like, it's not like an oh shit moment. It's just like another sequence of events that occurs. That's another problem. It's one of those bad movies where like a bunch of stuff happens and there's no kind of like escalation to anything.
It's an and then movie, like and then like there really is so little connective tissue or narrative thrust to anything, which is insane to say about a movie about a serial killer. A serial killer who leaves snowmen. You feel like it's built into the narrative device that there should be a ramping up of tension, but there just isn't.
You know, it'd be really funny if the snowman got bigger as like he killed more people. So by the end, just like in the town square, whatever, there's just like a giant snowman.
Yeah, you ever see the movie Kingdom of the Spiders?
No.
It's a William Shatner versus like poisonous spiders. The end of that movie, spoilers, is like they've been under siege by these spiders, and like like the next day Shatner's like, let me see how things are out there, and he opens the window, and like the whole town is covered in the spider web, right?
Oh my god.
And that's the ending, and it's like, oh my god. So like, what if the ending of this movie was the entire city is just covered in one giant snowman?
I would have applauded. I would have. I really would have, because that is like next level commitment to the bit, you know.
I would like, not even as like a narrative thing. I just, in any shot when we cut back, I would have the snowman slowly get closer to the shot. Like, I would have him slowly get closer to the camera. And it never explained. Like, there's no narrative explanation for it. I would just do it to fuck with people.
I want to talk a little bit more about the Val Kilmer stuff, because, you know, he's undergoing health problems here, and like he was he had throat cancer, and like the treatment was causing his tongue to swell, so like it was very difficult for him to speak and be heard, and that's very tragic and sad. And I'm not saying they should have fired him from the movie, because that's like fucking that would be an atrocious decision of its own accord. But I am curious about why they didn't ADR better, because he is giving like facial movements. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not that he couldn't move his mouth; it's that he was difficult to understand. So
he was difficult to understand, but they also like they try their best to never show him speaking when they ADR him too.
yeah,
But there's so much ADR in
it's
this movie beyond Kilmer, and
yeah, because they're just
I'll say
like
this,
fucking
like
patching
look,
up all these holes, and it's so like it is disorienting.
mhm. And like this is something like I totally feel for Kilmer, but like an actor having to leave a movie for health reasons isn't the most unheard of thing to happen, right? Like
Yeah.
Kilmer's situation is a lot more complicated, obviously, and I don't want to be like he should never work again. Like, obviously, that's awful. Like I hope that what's his status right now? 'Cause he's in Maverick but couldn't talk, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that was a choice, but how much of that was his health issues.
I
It
think it
seems like
was
he's kind
the
of
health thing because from my understanding,
yeah,
he wasn't like confirmed to be back in it until
yeah.
the initial premiere when everyone was like, "Oh, this is the second coming of Christ," you know.
He's in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot as himself.
Oh, I have not seen that.
So, and that was released 2 years after the Snowman. So I don't know what the fuck happened there.
Mhm.
He's done a few movies, but like Top Gun Maverick was his last thing. I don't know, maybe like the treatment's ongoing. You know, whatever.
Mhm.
Like I think we're all pulling for him ultimately, and just want to see him uh, get better. But like I said, yeah, it's not unheard of for an actor to have to leave a movie for health problems. And
Yeah.
why someone didn't just go, look, Val, like we can't do this. Like why no one stepped in and was just like, just get someone else. Like
Mhm.
that's what makes me think there was some sort of conflict with producers because that feels like something a producer would step in on, right? That a
Yeah,
producer would
and they're
kind of
like,
have to
"No, we
come in
got
and be like,
Kilmer.
this,
Keep him in the movie."
yeah, we either have Kilmer or we've already sold to foreign, which happens with a lot of these movies where they go, we've already put Val Kilmer's name on the poster to like the 7 distributors we've made deals with in foreign countries, right?
Mhm.
That shit happens all the time. So he might have been part of. I mean, he's like fourth build, and he's barely in the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Like
And then his actual
it's
and this is not Kilmer's fault, but like his actual material in the movie, if you take it out, it doesn't really impact the movie, given
yeah,
the pacing and like the unraveling of the mystery, quote unquote unraveling. It's like just kind
yeah.
of like nails on the chalkboard. Um,
Like I wonder, it's one of those things where like maybe there wasn't enough time to recast. But honestly, I would just be like, all right, like if I'm working on the fly, and again, there's a lot of practicalities. Who knows what was going on behind the scenes? But my move would just be like, okay, Kilmer's out. Let's just elevate Toby Jones's role, right? Like we already
mhm.
got him.
Yeah,
Like he would slot right in. Like it's just we'll pay him a little more. He can be on set a little bit more. Like just have him
yeah,
do the stuff Kilmer would have done. It feels like a
and
really
they already
easy
work
solution.
together.
And just yeah, and it's the fact that like no one did that. They just it feels like they just never diverted from course, and that's crazy to me. Even if you consider they were on like a tight deadline, but
Yeah, I mean that is also like the
and then
ultimate thing. Like that is one of the great evils as an extension of like so much money controlling art and commerce, like just in the
yeah,
industry as a whole, that it's like, well, we can't push back because we already set aside this time for you to shoot the movie, and it's like, well, then just do more. Like time, what? Like just
yeah,
we cannot. More people need to step back and look at like, can we do this given the time constraints? And that's not even on
yeah.
directors a lot of the time. Sometimes it is, but a lot of the time, it's just producers at these studios being like, no, no, no,
Mhm.
this is the budget, this is the time. You got to do it now, or you can't do it. Like the new Jurassic
Mhm.
World movie, allegedly Jurassic City, where it's like, it's releasing next year in July. We have a script. No one can touch the script. You're coming in to shoot it. All right. Who's the director? We're looking right now. And it's like, well, fucking what? And like they did get Gareth Edwards. And hey, under better circumstances, I think that's one of the greatest picks they could have possibly gotten. But it's like,
Yeah.
that's not how movies should be made. This goes back to fucking every Alien 3 discussion we've ever had where it's like, I love that movie. Never make a movie like that again. And now it's like
Well, that seems to
exclusively how
be
movies are made.
yeah, but that also seems to be the lesson that Fincher learns from Alien 3, right? Where like he's
Yeah.
like, if they don't give me the number of days, I'm not making the movie. because that's allegedly part of what, like, he was like a day away from starting production on World War Z Part 2 and then dropped out, right? Like, that whole production fell apart like 2 days before they started filming, and I bet it was an issue like that. And I think that's why you see a lot of big gaps in his filmography these days, even though he does, like, Social Network, Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl, like, in, like, 5 years and are all massive hits, and then he doesn't make a movie for, like, 6 years. And I bet a big part of that is the sort of struggle to get the time, which, like, that sort of thing only seems to get rolled out for directors like Scorsese these days. And then when he does get it, a bunch of fucking idiots on Twitter, like, dunk on him for it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad those people are running things.
But yeah, so that fucks this movie.
But yeah, what's crazy too is then to be like, oh, and then there were reshoots, and then like what did they fix? Right? Like, you watch the movie and nothing appears to be working.
Yeah.
So what did the reshoots even fix?
Now,
how bad was this movie before that?
So there's the scene where Chloe Savini's murdered, right? In the trailer,
yeah,
the guy who's doing the snowman, the snowman himself, is chasing her down on like some like the back of like this food distribution thing, on that farm or whatever, right? She doesn't die in the chicken coop, and he like tackles her, and it's in the trailer. And then later there's the fire sequence, right, with the house, where the house is still where the final confrontation takes place, where he's like, oh, everything's discovered in the Snowman killer showdown, whatever, right? All these fucking serial killer Dexter-like things have that moment, and they gotta like kill the killer in really dramatic fashion. Can be super fun if you nail it, right?
Yeah.
But there's also like, they don't get coverage of Harry walking back to the house to like open a door, probably because they blew up the set with the fire, right? Which I guess his ex-girlfriend and probable son, never fully confirmed but frequently implied that character is his son. It looks like they die, because in the trailer he's like screaming amongst the fire, and then there's that big explosion, right? So it's like maybe the snowman wins the day, I don't know. And they were like, this is too fucking dark.
Movie, frankly.
Yeah.
Just to make the most upsetting film ever, but maybe that's what came down to. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe someone wanted it to be like, let's just make this a closed story where everyone fucking dies and the snowman wins. And then the other group was like, no, this is a franchise, you idiot. Like, we got like 20 of these books. We can do more. And maybe that was the tension.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning, because like, I don't think we're like off base. Like, again, these are just theories. Everyone just has theories about what exactly happened as a result of these specific things that are wrong with how movies are produced nowadays. The Snowman is like one of the prime victims of that now. The main thing we haven't talked about is that Thelma Schoonmaker was brought in to kind of save the movie, or to try to save the movie. I remember when The Irishman won, or no, it didn't win Best Editing, huh? Did it? Hang on.
Yeah, I think The Irishman is one of those movies. I think Scorsese has been having a run lately where his movies just don't win anything.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that would win for that. But let me just double check now, because nominated for Best Editing. But I remember people were like criticizing it, like, oh, did the editors not pay attention? Otherwise it would be shorter. And it's like, that's not what editing is. But like, and it was just like everyone in film Twitter just like assembled and was like, no, we're not gonna fucking let this happen to Thelma Schoonmaker. Like, you watch your fucking mouth talking about Thelma Schoonmaker in the presence of a god. One of the greatest editors who's ever lived.
That being said, Thelma should have edited this thing down to 10 minutes.
Aww.
There's probably 10 minutes of usable footage in this thing.
Well, there was also Claire Simpson who edited this. I'm pretty sure she was like the original editor. She edited like the Constant Gardener, Wall Street, Platoon.
Did she come in? Like, does Thelma come in because it was just too much for that editor, or did they fire the editor?
I think it was kind of both. And okay. I think it's a result of just not having workable footage. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna be optimistic and say there's more than 10 minutes of like usability with
Yeah. I
the
was just
footage.
making a joke.
No,
but...
yeah, but like it's just like, what do you even do with this? You know,
especially when you're fucked where like it's a mystery story, so you have to build it a certain way, right? You can't suddenly be like, okay, it's a different beast, right? It's not like, Tony Scott, you can kind of like make the movie in the edit somewhat because he does so much coverage and shit. Like he's like got like 10 cameras running at once from like 3 different helicopters.
What Denzel, I think in the fucking Man on Fire, he's like, oh yeah, 9 camera Tony, the fastest gun in the West. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, so you can do that with that type of movie, but here it's like you're a mystery film. You have to build a sort of mystery. Is Scorsese's name still on this? Is he like an executive producer on this?
Nope.
Okay.
Hell
that
no.
also might explain things because the story with Scorsese is he has his name on a few movies, and a lot of times I don't know if he gets this as much anymore, but he used to be in a position where he could kind of be like an executive producer on stuff, and the studio wouldn't give the director final cut, but they would give Scorsese final cut, and then Scorsese would just pass it on to the director. So it was like Scorsese would like protect the director essentially as an executive producer. Like he had a reputation for doing that, which is pretty cool.
That's very cool.
But
as of today,
which is something that clearly didn't happen here.
No, that did not. That maybe could have helped this movie, but that's not on Scorsese or Alfredson. It's clearly systemic issues. But as of today, the day of recording, there was literally like some lawsuit that just got settled between Scorsese and some screenwriter who, like, I guess Scorsese like got paid to executive produce something, and then the writer was like upset. I literally don't know any details. I literally just saw it like an hour before recording, where like the writer was unhappy with Scorsese's like performance as an EP because they never even met. But it's also like that's not his job. So I don't know. It sounds like the writer is
what project was this? What was this?
Let me see. It's a Variety article. I'll link it down below on the episode. Scorsese settles lawsuit with screenwriter who accused him of taking $500,000 to do nothing. Scorsese settled a lawsuit from an aspiring screenwriter who accused him of pickpocketing the $500,000 to help develop a World War II movie and then doing nothing. Simon Afram wrote Operation Fortitude, a screenplay about the Allied effort to deceive the German army as to the whereabouts of the Normandy invasion. He and another producer, Edward Call, hired Scorsese in January of 2022 to serve as an executive producer, which they hoped would help attract an A-list cast and director. They hoped to begin production in Europe later that year. That didn't happen. And in the lawsuit, the aspiring filmmakers contend that's because of Killers of the Flower Moon director did not lift a finger to help after taking their money and would not even meet with them. According to the suit, they sought repeatedly to talk directly with Scorsese, but his managers always said that he was too busy with other things. He was filming that Killers of the Flower Moon for like a year.
Yeah.
Like that year specifically, so it sounds like maybe that was
yeah.
I don't know. It
I mean,
sounds like that's fine.
Scorsese's 81. He's probably tired working on his own movies. He maybe shouldn't take the money. I don't know the details.
Yeah, maybe there is something like wrong there, but
I mean,
he's making his own movies.
That's also not an uncommon thing of just paying a director to put their name on it and then have them do nothing.
Spielberg is an executive producer on every Transformers movie. So
he's also here's the thing. Spielberg at the bare minimum like brought the toys to DreamWorks and was like, we can make a movie out of these, right? Like he allegedly at least did that. His name is on Men in Black, a movie he has nothing to do with. Like he didn't do a thing with Men in Black.
Yeah.
So like it's sometimes that's how it shakes out, It's just
also later in the article it says Scorsese's lawyers alleged that Scorsese had personally identified several accomplished directors who might be good for the project and reached out to them through his representatives, unfortunately, none were interested, which is also something that just can happen. Like, this just sounds like a normal movie was, like, in the process of hopefully getting made and then struggles to get made. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
sounds like Hollywood.
It fucking sucks. Yeah, it's Hollywood. It fucking sucks. It's not even these
This
guys'
feels like
fault. You know?
This feels like a mistimed hit piece. Like, this was supposed to come out before the Academy Awards.
I know. They're like, oh yeah, well, like, no, here's what happened. This is me just fucking having fun now. They're like, God, Scorsese's gonna get an Oscar. Everyone guys talking shit about Scorsese. Let's get in on this. Well, Killers of the Flower Moon doesn't really have that much heat behind it. Let's see if things pick up. And they just hold on to this piece. Like, hey, you guys gonna drop that? We'll see. We'll see the day after the Oscars if he wins. And then they're like, hey, a couple weeks have gone by. You guys still gonna drop that? Oh shit, yeah, here. It's Friday. Yeah, let's drop it now. Yeah, that's right.
Slow
get a couple extra clicks this weekend.
We always get those Marvel guys to click on any article critical of Scorsese.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and Marvel people don't go out on Friday nights because they're all losers. So let's drop this on a Friday, and they could read it obsessively.
Oh man,
I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry, I don't mean that.
Diego going for the fucking kill.
I was just at Disneyland like 48 hours before the day of recording.
What are you nerds not getting laid?
I know. I'm like 2 steps from that.
Yeah.
You fucking
2 steps from it. That's exactly
virgins.
what you were saying. Yeah, exactly.
No.
We're here, dude. It's fucking. We're here on Friday talking about the Snowman. We have no right. A bunch of losers complaining about Scorsese. We're talking about a movie no one gives a shit about. For 5 people who listen regularly.
Watch this be one of our most popular episodes.
Who knows?
Exclusively because I'm going to title it "What Happened to the Snowman."
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Whew.
I've been studying clickbait titles because of the stuff I've been reading about online lately. So, like, there's so many ways of just
wait, before
you won't believe what they did. Shit
you won't believe what this guy did with Snowman.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I was gonna try to find like another anime reference so I could stick in an anime thumbnail into the episode thumbnail, but now I'm just gonna put like a bunch of different snowmen, like PNGs.
Yeah,
I feel like that'll be my trend.
Who are the famous snowmen? Let's break this down.
Frosty.
There's Frosty. All right. While we're here. Frosty the Snowman. That song is bullshit.
Wait, what?
I fucking hate the song Frosty the Snowman.
Wait, why? He's a jolly, happy soul.
All right. So let's break down the narrative of the song Frosty the Snowman. These kids build a snowman, and he fucking comes to life and starts like dancing around, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm gonna melt, so let's have fun while we're here, right? Mm-hmm. All right, here's the line. Here's the line. There must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found. For when they placed it on his head, he began to dance around. Correlation does not equal causation. The snowman, the frozen ice being came to life. We can't just go, it must have been the hat. We gotta run some fucking tests here to make sure this isn't the work of Satan.
It's a child fable.
These kids just go, it must have been the hat. You also gave him a corncob pipe. Like, could have been that too. You gave him like 3 things. Like, it could have been any of those things. We're just gonna chalk it up to the fucking hat?
Yes!
That's some bullshit.
They probably don't even know what math is yet. What the fuck are they gonna think with more than just a hat falling on a pile of snow?
Fucking call the haberdasher. Have him check out the hat. Like, it's something's wrong here. There's frozen ice that's alive. This is against the whole spirit of Christmas. This is the work of Satan.
Oh my.
So I got problems with that song.
Oh, so are you alleging that Frosty is like the Antichrist?
No, I'm just saying we should do a little more test than just shrugging and going, it's the fucking
No,
hat.
because now you have to hear me out. Because if this is the work of Satan, it's got to be like a bastardization of like the Son of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if like the son of Satan is like a rebuke, of the Christ figure.
In the narrative film Frosty the Snowman, he does die and get resurrected. I'm just what?
I don't know why when you said that my brain cut to that little bit at the end. He's like, "Happy birthday,"
Happy birthday.
And you're like, "Yeah,
Frosty.
fuck that guy."
Fuck Frosty.
It's not real.
All right, so we got one famous snowman. Who else is there?
There's also both Jack Frosts.
There's the evil Jack Frost and the evil Michael Keaton Jack Frost.
There's the pervert evil Jack Frost, and then just Michael Keaton evil Jack Frost.
There's Jack Frost with it's George Clooney's face on the snowman, but it's Michael Keaton playing him. Do people know this? Do people know this?
I don't
Clooney
think most
and he
people
dropped
do.
out. He dropped out last minute, so they designed the snowman to look like George Clooney. And then it's like, who's the next? You know who looks exactly like George Clooney?
Oh, Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, hey.
Do you know that story?
No.
Really? Okay. So,
right.
George Clooney recounts this bit. I'll put it in the actual episode, but when they're casting for like From Dusk Till Dawn with Rodriguez, right? And he's like, and I could be the other guy, and Clooney's like doing an interpretation. He's like, who looks exactly like me, like motherfucker, George Clooney and I could be like brothers. And George Clooney was like, I never really bought that.
Yeah, no, there's no one on Earth looks like Quentin Tarantino.
No.
There's never been another human being on Earth that looks like Quentin Tarantino. So
that is the one flaw in From Dusk Till Dawn.
I mean, that's an interesting film.
That's a great fucking movie.
People don't like his performance, do they? Like, they don't like Tarantino's performance.
I used to not like it. Now I'm like, fucking just, let's go for it. I'm tired of things being normal.
I think that was just peak everyone being like, Quentin Tarantino, shut the fuck up. Like, it's the 90s, and he hasn't stopped talking since the release of Pulp Fiction. Yeah. So, I think that shifted it. So, all right, so we got 2 snowmen, or 3. We got the snowman from that short film, The Snowman.
Wait, what?
Did they ever show you that cart? You ever see that cartoon?
No.
Like the little kid builds a snowman, the snowman comes to life, and then like takes him to the med. It's like complete. There's no dialogue. It's just music and animation. They used to air it at Christmas all the time. So we got him. If you look him up, The Snowman, 1982.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take your word for it. How about that?
It's a classic. People know The Snowman.
I'm sure other people do. I don't.
How do you? What childhood did you not have?
Apparently not. Whenever I do these, you're like, oh, everyone grew up with this, and I'm like, I didn't. That's weird.
Well, sometimes I get it because it's like I grew up with like cable and access to a lot of media that other people don't have. I get that, but The Snowman feels like something they would show you at like in a church basement or something. Like,
yeah, no, not. Mm-mm.
Or even in school, like. Anything?
I think I had a more conservative upbringing than I even realized. That's what this podcast has helped me discover.
I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
But you should check out The Snowman. It's like it's kind of considered a classic.
Okay, it's like actually good though, right? Like.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if it's not, now I'm just curious.
Films about snowmen.
Oh, you're still looking it up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking up. There's Once Upon a Snowman with Olaf. from Frozen.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Olaf's a snowman.
Yeah, I
So
love
let's
that
get him on the
Olaf.
team. Yeah. Remember when they put the Olaf short in front of Coco because they were afraid after Trump was elected, no one would want to watch a movie starring Mexicans?
That's insane, but yes.
Remember when Disney did it? And then the reaction was so negative they had to pull the short.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so funny because when I finally saw Coco, I didn't get that short.
Neither did I.
No,
I saw
because
Coco
I
like...
went to a screening. That's why I didn't get it. They didn't put it in front of the screen. They put it in front of the public. And so I was like, I don't know what everyone's complaining about. And then I saw it when it finally hit like Disney Plus or whatever later, like way later. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I would be pissed if I had to wait 20 minutes to watch a movie that I paid to see. Like, it's not even, I'm like the Frozen guy, and it's like I wouldn't have liked that. I'm not there to see Frozen. I'm there to see Coco. I'm there to cry my eyes out.
Well, there was such a weird panic around that movie being like, in Trump's America, no one is going to want to see this. And I think that was like kind of the last really big Pixar hit. Like,
yeah. And then it turns out movies like that actually did better in light of Trump's election. Because it's like, hey, it turns out most people do want to see themselves represented on screen.
Oh, you mean the guy who actually lost the election by 3 million votes wasn't as popular as we thought he was?
I know.
Is that what you're telling me? Yeah.
Everyone's fucking stupid. Whatever. I'm not going to get all worked up about this fucking...
Isn't it weird that
country.
In the 21st century we've had the equivalent amount of Republicans and Democrat presidents, but a Republican has only won the popular vote one time?
I would say that's quite interesting. And I think people that complain about leftists and young people especially maybe being more cynical about elections should get a little introspective about that stuff. Take a look at what
we should maybe
really
think about it.
Is dissuading people from getting excited about voting. Because I can tell you it's not out of their own cynicism. Anyways, we can the Snowman. I don't even know
the Snowman. We didn't really assemble a good team of snowmen, but
no, but we got more than I thought you would. I was like, who the fuck?
Is there a snowman I am not thinking of?
Probably, but I didn't put any thought. That wasn't a thought in my brain.
Who are your snowmen? Because these were all my guys. Even
I think
Frosty,
we have the same guys.
Well, you didn't even know one of them.
Yeah, so I have less guys.
There's no like, oh, I remember that snowman.
There's no snow in Mexico, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but there's snow on the TV.
Yeah, and I saw Frosty. And oddly enough, both Jack Frosts.
There's the giant snowman in Mario 64 that like tries to blow you off it when you cross it.
Tries to what guy.
You? He blows you off with the wind. Like you try to cross because it's like there's like ice on the bridge thing, and you have to use the penguin. This is very important, kids. Okay. You gotta like walk with that penguin because it'll shield you. The big
God
penguin.
Help me if kids are listening to this.
And like they take a step forward and a step back and then a step forward, and you can't rush it because it's ice, so it's very slippery. But if you don't use that penguin correctly, you get knocked off the mountain. So that's how you get the star on the top of the snowman's head.
Okay.
There you go. See, I'm the only one pulling weight here when it comes to snowman.
I'm looking up at a snowman in on a Wikipedia list, and it looks like there was a snowman in Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Oh yeah, he sounds like Sean Connery. Don't remember this.
I'm reading the Wikipedia synopsis of this. I gotta rewatch Courage because I loved that show.
Yeah, he. I remember this. He develops a thing it's basically just like a fucking like a nozzle that like he plugs into a human being's head, and if he takes, there's like a drop inside human beings that stop us from melting, and if he takes two of them, he won't melt because all his other snowmen friends have melted. So
I'm gonna spoil the 2 appearances of the Snowman because this is like insane to me, and then we really will wrap
I
up.
know.
But the Snowman in Courage the Cowardly Dog is a talking snowman believed to be the last of his kind due to global warming, which is really sad. And then it says in his first appearance, he tries to steal Eustace and Muriel's anti-melting gene, and he manages to get Eustace's, but Courage causes him to drop it. And Courage manages to save Muriel from having hers removed. And then he's defeated when he falls into a frozen lake, making him the first frozen snowman. And then he returns in the Snowman's Revenge, where he turns the farmhouse into the West Pole and freezes Courage and the parents and the couple. And then he reveals how he lost his home and friends, and Courage helps him fix the North Pole and brings back his friends and his girlfriend, and he's reunited with the people he lost. That is like...
Yeah, I remember all of them.
What a fucking show.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I went through a whole range of emotions.
There's insane Courage the Cowardly Dog episodes where like there's like a weird angle like that. I mean, there's the lesbian couple episode. I think a lot of people know.
I mean, I remember Return the Slab, which like traumatized a generation.
That scared me too, but it's also like really funny.
Yeah. Now it's hilarious. But and the Chicken from Outer Space, which is the first canonical,
which was like an Oscar-nominated short. Mm-hmm. Which is like how Courage gets started.
Yeah.
So,
and then there's like a trilogy of episodes. For those.
Yeah, they came back. I mean, there's the cat one. The cat came back like a few times.
Yeah.
There's Le Quack, the evil like French duck that's like always trying to blow him up. Yeah. Like there's a lot.
Le Quack was actually a little scary. It doesn't sound like it given the name, but I found that character rather frightening.
I liked the music was cool too. Like whenever cats showed up, they played like that weird like music underneath them. There's good stuff on that show.
Yeah.
There was Fred, who was like creepy as fuck. Who like I think he was like obsessed with like shaving Courage or some shit. What a great show.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the for those who don't know, there's like an episode that's like straight up just like rescuing a lesbian bunny from her abusive boyfriend.
I did not remember this.
Oh my God, it's like brutal. Like it's played so fucking straight. It's insane. Like it's this woman shows up to like stay at the farm. Like I think they're renting a room, which like they should stop doing that on that farm. Because every time they do, someone insane shows up. But they rent a room, and this woman shows up who's just wearing a mask, and for some reason she just beats the shit out of Courage every time he shows up. And what we find out is that it's a cat under the mask. It's a cat named Kitty, and her best friend in the whole world is Bunny, and she's in an abusive relationship with her gangster boyfriend Mad Dog, who's a dog. And so her best friend in the whole world is being held captive, and Courage has to rescue her. And it's one of these where like the abuse angle of it is played like completely straight, and it's insane. And then at the end, you know, not to spoil it, but it's a kid's cartoon. It's like a 10-minute episode you can put together where this is going.
Kitty and Bunny were roommates for the rest of their days.
Well, it's literally them like hugging, but like not like in a very, very specific way, and they give each other their cat toy. It's like, this is a symbol of our friendship, and like they literally hug and like cuddle, and then they like, and now we can be best friends forever. And then they ride off into the sunset together on the back of a train. So it's like the ending to the fucking Handmaiden. Like it's.
I just realized, I think I understand where my, let's call it hesitance to the French stems from now. Because I was like, why am I'm remembering like Le Quack, and I'm like, that was a really odd, disturbing character. Why is that bothering me so much? And I'm just putting the pieces together right now. I think I'm realizing some stuff.
The Cowardly Dog changed your life?
Yeah,
Courage
and I
the
was like,
Cowardly Dog was
yeah,
one of the greatest shows ever made and
yeah,
changed our lives.
yeah. And I'm not going to change my position on the French because clearly what I'm saying is that Courage prepared me for reality as I got older. When I would discover that the French
Yeah.
were terrorist ducks.
It is kind of crazy that like it just shows what type of era that early Cartoon Network era was, that Courage the Cowardly Dog was like a regular show. Because like that's a show that is like, what if just fucked up shit happened? Like, there's not really a narrative.
Yeah, what if fucked up shit happens and only this dog can like survive sometimes?
Yeah, only his dog, and he's terrified all the time.
Yeah.
Like, he is not equipped to handle it.
And like the closest thing he has to like a friend that isn't his owner that he loves is a computer that's very snarky.
Yeah, a computer that is like cruel to him. Like the computer isn't like, oh, this is a joke between friends. The computer's like, I hate you, Courage.
Yeah, the computer is like the fucking artificial intelligence from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Yeah, basically. I think there is an episode where it goes evil, right? Like, I think there is an episode where that computer goes evil. So,
Goddamn, I'm gonna start rewatching that show this weekend.
I think what we're finding out, I think what we've concluded at the end of the Snowman episode, is that Courage the Cowardly Dog creator John R. Dilworth should have done the adaptation of the Snowman.
I mean, maybe. That could have been something. Yeah.
Great.
They should bring Courage the Cowardly Dog back. I'm tired of this nostalgia bait remake shit that producers just shovel into the slop mines to get easy hits. I would welcome Courage if there was like a good team behind it though, because that's a fucking insane show.
He came back for like 2 minutes like 3 years ago for a Scooby-Doo crossover.
I remember hearing about that and like what a perfect like crossover.
Yeah, it is one of those where like, how did this not happen sooner? But also I haven't seen it, so
yeah, it could be.
I don't know if it's any good.
Although, like, Scooby-Doo crossovers do, like, they generally are just, like, hits. Like, there was even, like, the last episode I ever saw of Supernatural was a Scooby-Doo crossover.
Yeah,
where they get stuck in the... I probably talked about it before. It's so much fun. They get stuck into an episode, and then the murders are real. And I guess in the Supernatural universe, they never come across real monsters in the Scooby-Doo show. So they have to, like, save the mystery gang from something that they brought into their world. And it's like, that's fun, you know? Super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Scooby-Doo versus the Snowman Killer. I would have watched that.
They had to have fought a snowman guy at least once. I think they fought an abominable snowman at some point, but
yeah. Well, all the Hanna-Barbera stuff had like this weird like abominable thing. I talked about the Johnny Quest episode before, which fucked me up so bad.
Yeah.
I remember trying to like go to bed that night and I just couldn't do it. Like
I think there was an episode of Scooby-Doo, like one of the later ones, where there was an abominable snowman that like genuinely scared me. That was what was weird, is that like that show is like so goofy, but there was occasionally an episode that was genuinely kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
So,
anyways,
when the monsters were finally real in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
What a great movie.
Remember when that happened? Remember they were like, now he finally faces real monsters, and like we had to pretend that the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo didn't happen? Or the fucking TV movie where he turned into a werewolf, or when they went to the ghoul school?
Yeah, but Zombie Island's the best one.
Zombie Island is pretty great.
Yeah.
That's that weird run. They do like 4 movies in a row that are like kind of good.
Yeah.
Zombie Island, The Witch's Ghost. I actually might like The Witch's Ghost. This is important to talk about. The Witch's Ghost more than Zombie Island. The Alien Invaders, where Shaggy falls in love with an alien. And Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, when they get sucked into a computer. But
I remember those.
Because the guy was upset his dumb baseball game wasn't popular. They invent the laser out of Tron, and they just use it to make video games.
Okay, why is this important?
It isn't.
Yeah, I didn't
at
think
all.
So.
In no way is it important at all. Other than
in no way is it important at all.
Tim Curry was in Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost. Oh, I
All
now
right.
remember
Well, thanks for joining me, Matt.
The
This was
fucking
tons of fun.
the Hex Sisters. That's why I like that one. I think a lot
Yeah,
of people
no,
remember the Hex
a
Sisters.
lot of people
I
like that one.
I forgot that's where they came from.
I didn't.
But okay, thank you.
It was I think that one was
Um,
formative for everyone,
no,
basically.
yeah. There's that changed the millennial generation.
Yeah.
So, like I said, they're
Why
having
are
fucking
goth girls so
banning
popular
books.
now? It's because of the Hex Girls.
Yeah, it's because of the fucking witch's ghost. God damn it. But
yeah,
like I said, they out there banning books, thinking they're turning kids gay, and it's like Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost is probably responsible for 75% of the lesbian population in America now. But
anyways,
all of this we're only doing this because all of this is more interesting than the Snowman.
Yeah, but I had fun trying to explain my theories of what the fuck happened and how capitalism is killing art.
Yeah. It should
I'm
be
gonna go watch Courage the
around.
Cowardly Dog now.
Yeah. Before fucking Zaslav deletes it from the servers.
Well, that was also they recorded that on film, so there are negatives of those recordings somewhere. So,
oh, thank God.
Yeah, just don't burn them.
I'm sure they're storing them very well.
Yeah, I know that's the other thing. If you have film negatives of any kind, keep them at least refrigerated, if not frozen, because they will degrade. So keep them in a nice cold place. They're
probably in Zaslav's garage.
I know. I don't want to think about it.
I got a free garage over my place. We don't need to pay storage. What is this place made out of money? It's just Warner Brothers.
All right, Matt, thanks for joining me on the Snowman. Do we want to say what we want to do next? Because I know we're going to continue this for a little bit.
We're doing Saltburn.
Right.
Fuck everyone.
They lost to Babylon.
We're doing Saltburn, and but don't worry, Diego will get to do a movie he really wants to do too.
I don't not want to do that movie, honestly.
Here's where I'm at with Saltburn right now. I'm making my top 1,000 movies.
No,
I kind of want to put Saltburn on there just out of spite. Like it really doesn't deserve to be on there. But Diego, I am just driven by pure spite and anger.
I know, but you shouldn't let that drive your taste in things.
Yes, I should.
No, because life gets so much less fulfilling if you're only doing things out of spite. At some point, you do have to start doing things. I'm not only
doing things out of spite. I just do a lot of things out of spite. Why do you think we're doing the Saltburn episode anyway?
I don't know. I mean, I don't. I was gonna say I don't tweet about Alien 3 out of spite. Sometimes I do, but I do generally tweet about it out of love. But then I see people being like pearl clutching about like, well, it's not as good as aliens, or like, fucking shut the fuck up. You're all
the only losers. Spite part of me with Saltburn was thinking about putting on my best movies list, but like I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. So, but everything else is genuine though. So
okay, if you put Saltburn on,
although
you have to put on Pasolini's theorem.
I already have a Pasolini on my list, but it's not that one.
Okay, that's fair. Oh my God! Do you have Solo?
No.
Okay. We're never going to cover that movie. What do you have a take on Solo?
Yeah. My take is I want to see it in a theater.
Whoa! All right.
I feel like I can't. You can't get the full feel of it outside of a theater, which is partly why I don't have a strong take on it. Genuinely.
My take is that I think Pasolini was a brilliant filmmaker and artist who had a lot of left wing ideals that I really vibe with, and I used to think, man, Solo's too unsubtle, and now no one gets subtlety, so I'm like, whatever.
That's the other thing is that now in this like pearl clutching era, like you want to defend anything the guy did. You want to just feel like bit. Yeah. Like Solo, now it's the one of the top 10 greatest films of all time.
I wouldn't go that far. But I am
But,
pro Pasolini as an artist. Little strange fella in the real world. R.I.P. still, because they never found out who killed him. Although, it was,
Do you know the story? You know the story of I think Tarantino told it about seeing Pasolini in not Pasolini, seeing Salo in theaters. Have you ever heard this story?
No, we can end on this though.
Where was he killed? I don't remember because that's part of the story.
In Italy, I forget where
killed,
in Italy. Let me
yeah,
real quick.
It was on the steps of some building.
No, I do not believe it
Oh.
was on steps. It was in the street. They found him in the street.
Okay.
Yeah, he was savagely beaten and also run over several times with his own car.
Okay.
Tarantino,
I think it was Tarantino told this story where
in Ostia in Rome, by the way. Sorry.
It was in Rome. Okay, it was Rome because I was always like, why is it always Rome? And I was reading Ostia. All right. So I think the story is Tarantino was watching Salo in theaters, and people are riding it out, and some people are walking out, and some woman gets up and goes to there's one of the walkouts, and as she's leaving, she turns around and says, Pasolini was beaten to death in the streets of Rome, and I say good riddance.
Whoa.
And then walked out of the theater. And I dream to make art that inspires that type of response.
I kind of do too.
That's what we all want, really. But, hey. But who knows? Maybe I'll like Saltburn even more on my next watch. Like if I vibe with it even more, it might genuinely go on a list. So
yeah, I am actually kind of excited to talk about it.
I am too.
Yeah, there's stuff there, intentional or otherwise, that I do find interesting. So
that's the real question, which will probably be the big point of conversation with Saltburn. Like, what is the intentionality of the movie?
Unfortunately, nothing in the Snowman feels very intentional, and it's a huge disappointment.
No.
It should not have stopped Thomas Alfredson from getting work in this country. Universal, let him come back, do another movie for you guys, because what the fuck? Yeah, I don't know. That's a bummer. Please come back and do another movie. Hopefully that TV show works out, even though I'm less interested in short form television nowadays. But hey, anything could happen. Matt, thanks for joining me.
You never know.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you didn't like this episode. Like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. Links down to all of our stuff down below. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to hold off on talking about what else we have planned. But I think people will like it, is what I'll say.
I think so, too. I know Diego will at least like it. So
yeah, there's at least one thing where I'm going to be like, yeah, let's go. We have been professionally unprofessional. Oh, yeah, links down to all of our stuff below. I probably said that, but I want to make sure I get that.
Yes. Goodbye, Jonathan Demme.